Hello and welcome to an India Today special broadcast. I'm Gaurav Sawant. On the show, India has caught out China's decoys and deception tactics at the line of actual control. Inflated balloons put out by China to indicate that there's a surface-to-air missile battery deployed in that area. Remember, China had done similar antics with fighter jets in the past. China was caught out then. China has been caught out now. But a equally big story that's coming up on the broadcast. Pakistan's Prime Minister Imran Khan virtually roaming around like a headless chicken after Nawaz Sharif, former Prime Minister of Pakistan, called out the Pakistan Army Chief General Qamar Javed Bajwa and at least two Director Generals of Pakistan's notorious ISI for meddling in Pakistan's politics. So even that fig leaf of democracy in Pakistan is gone, with every Pakistani virtually now talking about undeclared martial law in Pakistan. That story and much more coming up. But as always, let's get started. Our top focus story on the broadcast: how Indian analysts, satellite imagery experts, virtual imagery experts, they expose China's fakery at the line of actual control. And it's hugely embarrassing for China when its deception and decoys get caught out. It happens, but this is virtually World War II tactics that China hopes to employ in 2020. China did that with fighter jets. It's done that once again with surface-to-air missiles, trying to give out that impression that it had surface-to-air missiles at the line of actual control. They turned out to be inflated balloons, a part of Chinese deception. To the untrained eye, this image is a cause for serious concern. A Chinese army surface-to-air missile battery with its radar stations all set to target Indian Air Force fighter jets or incoming missiles. But look closely. These are not actual missile batteries and radars, but inflatable balloons to mislead satellites and reconnaissance aircraft. All a part of China's camouflage, decoy and deception tactics at the line of actual control.
China's camouflage, concealment and deception activities are well known to ensure survivability of its forces. The recent CCTV coverage of a military exercise in Western Theatre Command indicate that PLA has been using decoys extensively. What PLA is trying to do is put these inflated things right in front of the bonnet of the vehicle, so that the moment electronics of the vehicle are put on, it is shown as if a real SAM is located there.
This isn't China's only fakery caught at the line of actual control by the trained eye of the Indian surveillance experts and satellite image analysts. China has placed an entire decoy unit of PLA rocket force at the LAC. The aim is to deceive India into thinking that there is a rocket force regiment deployed at a particular location at the LAC.
China has been using these inflated foam and rubber items since past at least 15 years. A factory near Chengdu Air Base shows all these items laid out in front of the factory. All sizes and shapes match very accurately, but it will be difficult for the PLA to match the electronic signatures. A copy, after all, will remain a copy. It cannot match an original.
And now watch this deception. A remote-controlled aero model was passed off as a fighter jet by the People's Daily, the official mouthpiece of the Chinese Communist Party. Sources also tell India Today that China has been playing the game of deception since the beginning of the standoff in May. China bought a certain number of J-20 stealth fighters and JF-17s at airfields in Tibet. But China also placed inflatable balloon fighter aircraft manufactured at a decoy producing factory at Chengdu at these airfields. In 2020, China continues to use World War II tactics of inflatable balloons, of decoys and deceptions. China continues to play its mind games and psychological warfare. Is this an indication that China is either unwilling or unable to fight India on ground? That remains the big question. With cameraman Kripal Singh in Delhi, Gaurav Sawant for India Today. And let me take that question to a battery of guests joining us on the broadcast. I have Lieutenant General Gurmeet Singh. He's former Deputy Chief of the Indian Army, joins us on the broadcast. Ambassador G. Parthasarathy, someone who understands both Pakistan and China extremely well, with us on the show. General Gurmeet Singh, in your appreciation, psyops, deception, decoys, is China unwilling to fight a real war?
Gaurav, deception, propaganda, fakery, falsehood, this is the character of China and PLA. We have seen it on the 15th of June in Galwan, that it has just got treachery, and this is the way that he operates, and he has been operating. It also shows the hollowness of China on actual professionalism. And to be honest, despite all this, we need to be careful, because he's attempting to divert. And every action of his actually smells of a treachery which he is planning in the next step, you know.
That's extremely interesting. Beware Chinese treachery. And Ambassador Parthasarathy, in your appreciation, we've been seeing this right from the month of perhaps early May. In April, the Chinese came in. Early May, the standoff started. It's been on, still on. China talks to us and then pushes in more troops. How do you see this pan out in the next 2 months? Because if China wants to do something, this is the window, October and November, and then the pass is closed for winters.
You know, decoys and deception are a part of warfare. That is a reality. We've seen it through the 2 world wars. It's been involved in regional conflicts. But the Chinese seem more clumsy than most. So I think this will continue. We will continue observing, but we also have the capability to decipher and distance between reality and dramatics. So I think hats off to the guys who are doing our sensing this way of satellite photography and satellite communication. But that's a reality. They will follow. They've always done it, but we have to keep an eye on things to be able to distinguish between deception, decoy on the one hand, and reality on the other. I think we do have that. It's a question of capacities and the capabilities, and I think in terms
because
of
the Chinese have been pushing in, you're absolutely right. They've gradually been building up at the line of actual control. The world but now is seeing through China's game, and that's something that's extremely interesting. A United States Senate report has just emerged which actually asks the US government to take decisive action against China. This report also says that the US backs Britain in Britain's proposal to have a G10, a group of 10 democracies coming together to find a solution to 2 very important aspects. One is 5G, an alternate to China's Huawei, and also an alternate supply chain. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been talking about an alternate supply chain that's actually based out of India. India and Japan already moving forward in that direction. Take a look at this report.
It could be the beginning of the end for Chinese belligerence. Democracies around the world are uniting against Beijing. A US congressional report has sought decisive action to combat threats posed by China. The China Task Force of the House Republicans, in its report, accused Beijing of increasing military buildup, violating other nations' sovereignty, and engaging in fatal skirmishes to conduct a land grab on the Indian border. The US has also supported the proposal of British Prime Minister Boris Johnson for the creation of a new D10 group of leading democracies, including India. Britain has called for addressing issues such as 5G and vulnerable supply chains. Prime Minister Modi on Monday urged other like-minded nations to be lesser reliant on China.
हम जापान और ऑस्ट्रेलिया के साथ मिलकर सप्लाई चेन को डाइवर्सिफाई करना और रेजिलियंस के लिए काम कर रहे हैं। अन्य लाइक माइंडेड देश भी इस प्रयत्न में जुड़ सकते हैं।
From dismantling Hong Kong's civil liberties to oppression of ethnic minorities and showing off military muscle, China is being questioned.
Nowhere, however, nowhere is religious freedom under assault more than it is inside of China today. That's because, as with all communist regimes, the Chinese Communist Party deems itself the ultimate moral authority. An increasingly repressive CCP, frightened by its own lack of democratic legitimacy, works day and night to snuff out the lamp of freedom, especially religious freedom, on a horrifying scale.
The U.S. congressional report has given fresh impetus to the move against China to contain the belligerence of China, and not just containing through economic activities, but UK's proposal of democracies of 10 coming together to fight Chinese aggression is a step forward, India included in the D10. In New Delhi, Geeta Mohan for India Today.
Ambassador Parthasarathy, are these just words, or is the world seriously out to counter China? How long, in your appreciation, before it starts to take effect and Chinese belligerence is checkmated?
You see, I think the Western world is now realizing they've been taken for a ride by China. Their copyrights, their intellectual property has not been respected. It's been built upon by China, which was a violation of international copyright law. China does not observe any laws. And as for what is said about human rights, I mean, especially our Pakistani friends keep silent about what is happening to the Uyghurs, where 2 million Muslims are under captivity in Xinjiang province. So I think China needs to be exposed. It's got used to being treated as the good guy from whom we can make money by the West. It's interesting that Britain had joined in and has dropped 5G, because Britain was one of the hardest guys moving ahead with 5G.
Yes.
We have, of course, obviously decided we will not go ahead with the Chinese 5G. I've seen writings in the Chinese media which show to be very disappointed and angry with our decision. But the fact of the matter is, we already have a G4. Japan, Australia, India, and it is. So I think...
and the United States. Absolutely. In fact, that's the question I wanted to take. Saying the Quad countries coming together, External Affairs Minister traveling to Japan, General Gurmeet Singh, if you have the navies of India, Australia, United States and Japan operating together, is this just symbolic or is this substantive?
Gaurav, actually, new realizations, decisions and the reset is already on the way. There is no doubt about this. If you look at what we are just discussing regarding US Congress report, what the UK has told and what our Prime Minister has told, I think a reset is already in the process. Secondly, the particular question which you asked me about the Quad, this has evolved naturally because what is happening in East China Sea, South China Sea, Taiwan, it's a very natural aspect that this will come up. The belligerence and I would say opening up all fronts by the China has compelled actually the environment to reset, and these are a decision which are very natural fallout in the current security dynamics.
The question remains, does China think that it can still ram through, it can force the world through? President Xi Jinping, we are told, still thinks that he can carry the day, push India at Ladakh, and ultimately his impression is India will buckle, push Japan, push Philippines, push countries in South and East China Sea, and because America is having elections, UK will not be strong enough to take on China. He thinks he will be able to do this. Whether he can or not remains to be seen. But there's a meltdown happening at our other border. And I now want to shift focus and stay with me on this very important story. Imran Khan, Pakistan's Prime Minister, is having a virtual meltdown. He's saying that United States was able to take down countries like Iraq, Libya and Egypt because they did not respect their army. He says it's only the Pakistan army that's standing in the way of total collapse of Pakistan and hostile foreign forces, including India. Why did he say this? I'll tell you in a moment, but first listen in to Imran Khan.
ये बड़ा आपके लिए इम्पोर्टेंट है. देखें, ये बड़ी डेंजरस गेम हो रही है. ये जो नवाज शरीफ खेल रहा है, ये बहुत एक खतरनाक पाकिस्तान की के खिलाफ गेम खेल रहा है. यही अल्ताफ हुसैन ने खेली थी. इनके पीछे 100% मैं आपको वाजे कहता हूं कि इस तरह हिंदुस्तान इसकी पूरी मदद कर रहा है. इसमें किसका इंटरेस्ट है कि पाकिस्तानी फौज कमजोर हो? हमारे दुश्मनों का. कौन बैठा हुआ है अमेरिका के अंदर जो हिंदुस्तान लॉबी को अपना बड़ा डेमोक्रेट बन रहा है पाकिस्तान की फिक्र में? हुसैन हुकानी.
Okay, and what did Nawaz Sharif say that brought about this meltdown? Listen in to Nawaz Sharif.
यूसुफ रजा गिलानी साहब ने कहा था कि यहां स्टेट विद इन स्टेट कायम है जिसे बर्दाश्त नहीं किया जा सकता. दुख की बात यह है कि अब मामला स्टेट विद इन द स्टेट से आगे निकलकर स्टेट अबव द स्टेट तक जा पहुंचा है.
Posing the state within the state, and that's Pakistan's army and ISI. Ambassador Partha Sarthi, total meltdown in Pakistan. The gloves are off. Nawaz Sharif has decided this is a fight to the finish, where he's named Qamar Javed Bajwa as the army chief. He's named 2 DGs of ISI for interfering in politics of Pakistan.
Well, there are 2 Bajwas. There's Lieutenant General Asim Bajwa, a very close chum of Imran Khan, who not only heads the
who has just been sacked incidentally. You're absolutely right.
But
because of corruption. Yes.
But is also his economic advisor. That gentleman has picked up $55 million for his family in businesses abroad and dealing with China-Pakistan economic corridor. And he has been protected by Imran Khan. The other point is that there are 2 General Bajwas, and the army chief is getting the flack for this.
Yes.
And for the first time, the Pakistan army corruption is coming out openly in the media in Pakistan. That these guys are out for the kill on money, and Imran Khan is an accessory. So the heat is growing on the media. As long as the army stays put, it's going to be a tough time to take on the army. But this is the first time one is seeing a very clear policy, and I think Maulana Fazlur Rahman from the Jamaat Ulama Islam is also joining this. So it is a wider political grouping that is coming together, and the People's Party. So these 3 put together are now questioning the army itself on corruption. This sort of thing has never happened before. That a lieutenant general is charged. So
absolutely.
Let's see.
Unprecedented. Absolutely unprecedented. You're absolutely right. It hasn't happened in the past that corruption in Pakistan army is being spoken about so openly in the media and by political parties, whether it's PMLN or it's the other PPP or Maulana Fazlur Rahman. All of them are talking about Asim Bajwa's corruption and corruption in general in the Pakistan army. Well, what's happening in India? India's building strength, India's building defenses, not just for the line of actual control, also for the line of control to take on both China and Pakistan. India Today's Manjeet Singh Negi is in Manali to get you this report about building of the Rohtang Tunnel, the Atal Tunnel that Prime Minister Narendra Modi will inaugurate tomorrow. And this tunnel will truly be a game changer when it comes to the defense of Ladakh.
Indian and Chinese troops in a standoff on the line of actual control for more than 4 months. With India dominating some of the key heights, the message is loud and clear. India won't back down. And now the world's longest road tunnel connecting Rohtang Pass with Manali will help the forces add more muscle on the border. Constructed at an altitude of 10,000 feet above sea level, the tunnel is named after former Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee.
The tunnel on the Manali-Leh highway is 9 km long and took almost 10 years to complete. It's built at a high altitude over the 10,000 feet at the sea level in the Pir Panjal range of Himachal Pradesh. And this is strategically very important for the security forces.
The tunnel is 9 kilometers long and 10 meters wide. It will reduce the distance between Leh and Manali by 46 kilometers.
Main highlight of this tunnel is this has got an underground tunnel, which is the only one tunnel in India where there is a escape tunnel which is just below the main tunnel. Otherwise, all other tunnels, the escape tunnel is to be parallel to the main tunnel.
The tunnel, constructed for emergency situations, is designed to withstand hostile weather and avalanches. 3,000 cars and 1,500 trucks can simultaneously move through the tunnel. Strategically, the new route will ensure timely supplies of weapons and other logistics to the troops in Ladakh.
We have been able to overcome the most treacherous part of this journey. The Rohtang climbs were known to be one of the most treacherous, where we had the maximum accidents and one of the maximum snowfalls. I think this achievement has put the army at a great strategic advantage, where we are closer to Ladakh and our forces can move in much more swiftly.
The tunnel cost about 4,000 crore rupees and used Australian technology. The need for a new route was experienced most during the Kargil War. The new tunnel is crucial as many roads in Jammu and Kashmir and Rohtang in Himachal are blocked during the winter.
The prime purpose to build this tunnel to provide all-weather access to India's security forces to Leh, which is the prime military post in the line of actual control. The tunnel, after this opening, will become the important road resupplying the military supply towards line of actual control with China.
With Manjeet Negi at Rohtang Tunnel, Bureau Report, India Today.
This tunnel and the Nimu Padam Darcha highway, the secret road, is an absolute game changer, far away from Pakistan's shelling and China's prying eyes. We'll get you much more on that story tomorrow. That is all I have time for on India First this evening. Many thanks for watching.
Hello everyone, this is Rahul Kamal here. Hope you enjoyed this video. For the latest news and analysis, like and subscribe the India Today YouTube channel and don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated.